All right, look like we're good to go. Okay, good morning. Good morning. Welcome, everybody, to the Saturday Morning Mastermind. I'm your host, Samantha Studebaker-Carl, and today we're going to be talking about verse 77 of the Tao Te Ching as interpreted by Wayne Dyer in his book, Change Your Thoughts, Change Your Life, Living the Wisdom of the Tao. And I have had a very interesting morning this morning with our mower guy. He keeps going by. So if you guys think he's too loud, let me know, and I'll either mute out and you guys can jump in, or I'll know for sure if he's loud if he gets close to us again. But hopefully he's done over here. How does it sound? Sound loud? Can you hear him? The mower guy? Can you hear me?
I can hear you.
Okay.
Heard him for a minute.
What?
Heard him for a second or so.
Okay. All right. Well, hopefully he'll stay down there at the other end of the pond, and, at least for a minute. Who knows?
Right. Hey, everybody. Jason Roberts here from St. Pete, Florida. Glad to be here to go over this verse 77. Great to be on. Good to see everybody.
And hello from the East Coast is Marjorie. Good morning on Saturday, and glad to be here also.
Good morning, it's Karen Loha from the West, where it's toasty warm.
Awesome. I love that we have this kind of variety of weather. Is it super hot down there, Jason, in Florida?
It's kind of muggy, windy, mild temperature, but we're just about to get dumped on by a thunderstorm coming from the north.
Ah, so you get some cooler weather coming in. Maybe. I don't know.
Yeah.
It's not really cold up here. It's just kind of, I don't know, 70s maybe, and a little bit more humid than you like, so it just kind of feels cool. And I don't know, but it's beautiful out there today. We have nice blue skies and sunshine, and I love that. So I can't complain. I love the warm weather. Okay, so let me get this verse put up on our screen here, and then we can read it, discuss it. Oh, wait. Before we do that, for those of you who are watching this as a recording on YouTube, you can look down below the video in the description, and you can find links to our Facebook group, our replay from last week, how to participate in this live discussion if you want to. Please like the video, subscribe to our channel if this is interesting to you or you think it applies to you or anybody you know. Share it, Okay, so let me jump over here real quick.
Oh.
Okay.
Okay.
There we go. Can everybody see the verse?
Oh, there it is.
Awesome.
Very nice.
Okay. Who wants to read it this morning?
Who wants to read?
Why don't you read it, Jason? You're already unmuted.
Okay. All right. All right. The Tao Te Ching Verse 77. The way of heaven is like drawing a bow. The high is lowered and the low is raised. When it is surplus, it reduces. When it is deficient, it increases. The Tao of mankind is the opposite. It reduces the deficiency in order to add to the surplus. It strips the needy to serve those who have too much. Only the one who has the Tao offers his surplus to others. What man has more than enough and gives it to the world? Only the man of the Tao. The master can keep giving because there is no end to his wealth. He acts without expectation, succeeds without taking credit, and does not think that he is better than anyone else. Verse 77.
Awesome. Thank you, Jason, for reading Tao Te Ching verse 77. I appreciate that. And, there's Sandy. She jumped on. Yay. Can you hear us? We see you. I don't know if you can hear us or not. She's probably trying to figure it out still. Okay. So what do we think about this verse? The Tao Te Ching Verse 77. What's your first thoughts when you read this?
Mm.
Who wants to start?
That I am very far away from being a Tao master. I, I need work. I understand a lot of that stuff, but I'm very far away from being able to continue to give of myself without limits. I do have my limits, and and I need to get better at learning them and not reaching them. Keeping some in in reserve, so that I can continue to give, continuously, but it's not limitless. So that was my first thought. We might want to switch to the other screen, Samantha, because I can only see 4 people at a time on the right side.
There we go. How's that?
Great.
Good. Good.
Okay, let's see. Let's get back here.
Okay. So yeah, I kind of like having the verse up there so we can refer to it, but I also know it doesn't want to show all of us on there at the same time. I wish there was a way to do
No.
it where I could show it in one of these little windows, one of our screens here.
Mm-hmm.
I wonder. Let me think about that for a minute, for future reference. Anyway.
Yeah, interesting. Don't know how that would be achieved exactly. You might put it in the chat, but
Yeah,
we
that's
can
only
always switch back and forth to it, I think.
right. So anybody else, what was your first thoughts on this verse?
Well, I don't
It's
know that these. Oh, sorry, Margie. Go ahead.
No, go ahead. Well, thank you, Karen. Basically, I couldn't even really follow the first 2 lines. I'm not very good at directions and such, so I was trying to follow. Then I read that the Tao of mankind is the opposite. So basically, it was the second half of the verse that I could understand and grasp easier. That the only the one who has the Tao offers his surplus to others, and basically when I'm reading this, I'm thinking this is really a guide to how best to live life. I mean, that's the whole purpose of the Tao, is really advice and classic wisdom, and it's so true because I do read a lot about spirituality, and so I think what it's talking about is just living life properly, living from the heart, understanding what life is about, not getting into material things, possessions and money and greed, and realizing that the power of who and what we are truly is being a divine being and love, and that really means living in your heart and not in your mind. And from that, by living in your heart and understanding what life is about and who you are, then you're not going to get caught up into having more than you need, and putting a lot of value in the wrong things, and just living life properly. So anyway, that's what I was getting, and I'm going to keep reading the verse, see if I can get more out of it. I think the last bit is, you've always heard about really wealthy people who have a lot of money and read up on an article about some person, going through some difficult times in their life, and then reaching out and donating money secretly, quietly, without any, without even letting them know it's him and such, and providing for that person that has a great need. And and I guess basically the very last line, that he does not think he is better than anyone else, it just ties back into how we're all interconnected, that we are all one. And life is truly a morphic field, meaning multi-dimensional, and that we're all connected that way. And that's how I don't, for me, it's something that I'm grasping more and more, and wanting to definitely live that way. So that whole multi-dimensional, we are one type approach to life is not something I can like readily grasp right away, but it's something that I totally believe in, and feel that that's how life is. That's how life works. And so I think when you realize that you're not better than anybody else, then it's just the truth. So anyway, I'll stop there. Thank you.
Well, what I was going to ask is for somebody to please help me with the first 4 lines. The way of heaven's like drawing a bow, and I'm assuming we're talking a bow and arrow, but maybe not. The high is lowered and the low is raised. When it is surplus, it reduces. When it is deficient, it increases. And I think I generally can grasp certain things, but I'm not beginning. I may be at the wrong perspective, at the wrong angle, and I may be thinking of the wrong thing. But if somebody could help me with that, I'd appreciate it.
Well, I'm kind of laughing, Karen, because I just like skip over that. I just skipped over that. I mean, I got that that's not the way we want to live, or whatever, and then moved on to what I could understand. But I appreciate you bringing it up. So I think Jason had something he wanted to say. So anyway, go ahead, Jason.
I believe that the first few lines, instead of the way, they might, it's like the Tao, or down below, instead of the Tao, it's the way of mankind. So, that might help. And I found it interesting because they have all these very picturesque, poetic lines in this book about, that draw reference to things that from that earlier time that we don't quite get. Because unless you've been fooled around with a bow and arrow, you don't really see the similarities. But yeah, when you draw a bow, you have the tip of the arrow is pointing down, and you have your hand is pointing up, and then as you pull it back, you're raising the tip and lowering what was on the top. So I think it's just he's just trying to give an idea of what he means about this balance that is the way of the heavens. And I think a better analogy of it would be the the ebb and flow and the tides of the water and the oceans, with the moon, and the death and rebirth, the life cycles throughout the year. Might be a little bit easier to understand, I think. But basically what I believe he's saying is that all things in nature and heavens come back to an equilibrium, whereas the way of man, is seemingly always taking from those who already don't have very much, the less fortunate, or even the naive, the ones that don't know how to hold on to what they have, and it tends to go to those who already have plenty and don't need any more. And to go to be of the Tao, I guess, is to go against the trend of and the way of man, to be more like the way of heavens. I think so. Does that help at all?
Yeah. Excuse me. Yeah, Jason, I think that was a great example as suggesting that that part of the verse is kind of just to give you a visual perspective of what he's kind of talking about, that balancing of the Tao, and how there's always a left, there's always a right, up and a down, a black and a white, and it's just two sides of the same thing. And when I read that, I was kind of like, wait, what exactly are we talking about here? But I think that you're right. It's just that aspect of going, look, this is what one aspect is of the two sides of everything. And then of course when it starts to talk about, when he's talking about the raising and lowering, is the mower guy loud?
He's coming in, yeah.
There's like 3 of them. They're like all over the place. I mean, I get it, we're in an apartment complex, but I'm like, gosh, when are they gonna get done? It's my time to be quiet, maybe. I don't know.
It's just your house today. That's all.
It's just my place today. Exactly. I don't know. Is it too loud? Can you hear me better, or is the mower guy louder? They're almost done. Go away, mower guy. Go. Bye. Okay, so then when I was talking about like the surplus and the deficient, I think that then it's like the first part it's saying, okay, look, this is the two sides of, and now we're going to go into what we're really talking about in this verse, which is surpluses and deficiencies, and taking from in order to like the comparison of the human side of what we're more consuming. People are more consumers than they are givers. So we've been taught that somehow that, well, I mean, by example, let me know if the mowing is too loud.
You're okay. I think it's messing with your microphone a little bit, though. It's not picking up all of you.
Okay, I'll mute out until.
But you're okay now. You're fine. Go ahead.
It's better now. Okay, he's kind of getting further away. Here we go. It's so distracting when you get all fired up about something that really is not that consequential. But that was aggravating me today.
use the Tao.
I'm trying to be more Taoist and be like, okay. What was I thinking about? Oh, okay. So in the chapter, Wayne talks about nature and how it shows this whole the different, like when surplus. He's getting loud again. I can't even think straight. I'm gonna let you guys talk.
All right, hold that thought mute for a second. I have a thought. Just in if I can remember it now. It's talking about the surplus, and later on it's about giving to the world. It says, okay, after it says those first 4 lines, then it says, when it is surplus, it reduces. It's talking about the way of heaven, actually. When it has surplus, it reduces. When it is deficient, it increases. That's just kind of the natural state of things, is what he's referring to. And he says the Tao of mankind is the opposite. It reduces the deficiency in order to add to the surplus. It strips the needy to serve those who have too much. And isn't that kind of the way of you think of like the elitists of the old, thinking, well, the people that don't have anything aren't smart enough to utilize all the goods and services, or all the money and the wealth. They wouldn't know what to do with it. It's just this idea that they're better capable of, in their own mind of doing what is needed with the wealth and everything. And so for some reason they're more entitled, and that is sort of the way of man. And so that way of entitlement, I guess, kind of comes to the surface there for me. And this is only the one who has the Tao offers his surplus to others. What man has more than enough, and what man has more than enough and gives it to the world? ? Only the man of the Tao. And I think that's only possible because if you're purely coming from the Tao is like the source of the 10,000 things. Beyond the 10,000 things, there's a source that energizes and fills us and gives us life, gives us a spark, and gives us, um, gives you everything, really, gives you more than what you need. And if you're of the Tao, I think what it's saying, you can channel that through you, and even, it's my opinion, that we're like amplifiers. We can even amplify that and give that out to the world. And it's a very powerful thought, I think. But those are some things that came out just in the middle verses for me. Back to you, Samantha.
Okay, so what I was going to read about is, at the beginning we were kind of talking about, well, I don't know, it seems like somebody mentioned something about wondering how in nature this kind of shows itself, or maybe I was just thinking that, I don't know, but anyway, I was reading in the chapter that Wayne Dyer wrote about this, and he's talking about how when he was in Arizona, he was in Sedona a while back, and he said he took a tour of the forested areas and the steppes of the Red Rock Mountains, and he says, after I lamented the recent fires that had decimated so many trees, the guide explained how this had actually been nature at work. For millions of years, when the forests get too thick, nature's lightning strikes and thins out the forest. Without such an occurrence, the timber would choke on its own surplus. This is how our planet works. And then he goes on to talk about natural events such as droughts, floods, hurricanes, windstorms, excessive rainfalls, and how as men, we think that these things are devastating, but as nature and the Tao, that's the way the nature balances itself out. And, I know I've talked before about, we used to live on a river, and we'd have a lot of people that saw where we lived. They would be like, oh my God, you're flooding? What? Oh, I'm so sorry. Blah, 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 all this kind of thing. But I could see nature at work in that situation, because, we would have this flood come through, and everything, all of nature was like revitalized by it. It was, you'd have like your whole neighborhood would be kind of looking all, and then just everybody's stuff sitting around everywhere, and then nature would come through and flood it all out, and it just like push all this junk out of people's yards. Not that everybody had a bunch, but you know what I'm saying. It would be like little things. People would have like, their kids' toys outside, or it would be excess firewood or whatever, it was just like random things in the yard, and the flood would go and it'd wash all this stuff away, and then all of the plants and trees and life and everything was just like singing and beautiful. And I'm like, it's funny how you can look at it one way and be like, oh, okay, this is all devastation. But then nature is like, nope, it's perfect. It's just perfect. You just have to trust. It's all perfect.
That's great. I just saw the text from Chris. He says, good morning to everyone, and says, take me to the river, drop me in the water. I like that, Chris. Good morning. Good morning.
Good morning, Chris. I'm sorry. I forgot to say hey to you. I noticed you jumped on a minute ago. Glad to have you. I'm guessing that you just are on text only this morning then.
I guess so. I like what you were saying there, Samantha, about the toys being washed away, and I mean, like cleaned everything off. Glad you didn't have to wash your car, and So my car gets dirty. I'm always waiting for a rainstorm. So I always hold off on washing my car because I know it'll rain immediately after that, anyways. Yeah, that's funny.
Samantha, I was going to say that I was looking at the line about only the one who has the Tao offers his surplus to others, and what man has more than enough and gives it to the world. Only the man of the Tao. And the master can keep giving because there is no end to his wealth. And I was thinking about the fact that, you know, God created our world. God is love and God is abundance. And in that way, everything in our world is abundance. That's our true nature. And so when you understand that there is infinite abundance because our world was created by God or creator, whatever you want to call him, that's where the surplus comes from. Only the one who has the Tao offers his surplus to others, because if you have that wisdom and you really understand life and such, then you know that the true nature of everything is abundance. So that man will have enough and will give it to the world. And that's the man who understands, the man of the Tao. And in that sense, you're a master. The man of the Tao is a master, and he can keep giving because there is no end to his wealth, because he understands it's infinite abundance. So that's the part of the verse that I want to focus on. The confusing part that I don't understand, don't know how to explain, I'm just going to ignore, because the gem of the verse is the second half. And so anyway, that's how I view life. It's something that I'm still really trying to really understand totally with a full faith. And I mean, with a total acceptance, understanding, and I really truly believe that's the whole point of why we're here on earth, is to get inside your heart, get inside understanding what life is all about, and understanding that life is truly abundant, and that is the true nature of our world. I think that's more important than anything else we could be doing. And so that, I believe, is the beauty of what the verse has to offer us. And I'll stop there. Thank you.
Great thoughts, Marjorie. Hey, Sandy.
I made it back.
That's great. You were going home. I was wondering where you were driving to. I guess you were driving home.
Yeah, I was driving home. I had a session called Kihara, and the results are better than a massage. You have to work a little bit, but it's amazing. Your body feels like brand new afterwards. It's really good. I recommend it.
Okay.
I'm going to read the verse real quick, and I'll put my 2 cents in.
Then why don't you read it out loud? Can you read it out loud for us? We've all been stumbling over it.
Okay, what chapter?
It's verse 77, and it's page 364
Got it.
of Dr. Wayne Dyer's Change Your Thoughts, Change Your Life, Living the Wisdom of the Tao.
Okay, do you hear me?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. The way of heaven is like drawing a bow. The high is lowered, the low is raised. When it is surplus, it reduces. When it is deficient, it increases. The Tao of mankind is the opposite. It reduces the deficiency in order to add to the surplus. It strips the needy to serve those who have too much. Only the one who has the Tao offers his surplus to others. What man has more than enough and gives it to the world? Only the man of the Tao. The master can keep giving because there is no end to his wealth. He acts without expectation, succeeds without taking credit, and does not think that he is better than anyone else.
Great. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah. Marjorie was just bringing up how the gem was towards the end of the verse. It says the master can keep giving because there is no end to his wealth. And he acts without expectation, succeeds without taking credit, and does not think that he is better than anyone else. So, I mean, to understand that you have the wealth, endless wealth, limitless wealth or possibilities, so to speak, you would need to be kind of connected to nature and the understanding of the infinite, um, you know, or understanding of the concept of the infinite source, I guess. So you need to be knowledgeable, and then to act without expectations. Well, that's kind of, that would be difficult for me, but and take credit or not take credit, uh, succeeds without taking credit and does not think that he is better. You know, it means to live like that is to kind of live without any fear of want, fear of not getting what you want, no expectations. Um, Understanding that you don't need to take credit because you're already fulfilled and have a continuous source. I don't know. What do you guys think?
There's a lot of stuff in this verse. There's a lot. I mean, it's when I first read when I was reading the part, when it is surplus, it reduces. When it is deficient, it increases. It reminded me of acupuncture, my career, because we work a lot. We use the needles to bring in energy to the body if it needs it, or we reduce with the needle to get rid of excess energy. So it reminded me of that. But then, I'm seeing that Wayne's talking about, getting rid of excess in your life, like clothing, furniture, et cetera, giving stuff away. But yeah, like you were saying, Jason, it's like, I guess that last section there is really living in complete trust, and if we're one with Creator or whatever we want to call it, that everything we need is going to be supplied. And I hear this all the time, like, just you give, and you'll always get it back in some way, in some form. And it's, I think, we're grown up a lot to hold on to things, and in this fear that it's going to be gone, like we won't ever get it back, or we won't ever have what we need or what we want. But when we trust and we really go from that place of not expecting or really not thinking or better or anything, like everything is provided that we need. And like I've been trying to live more in that way the past few months, like really just giving when I can and being not expecting it back. And that's when like all these miracles come to you, like when you really can do that without expectation of what you're going to receive from it. I had another point, but it flew away at the moment. I'll pop back when it comes back.
There's something that I'd like to mention over here where, well, I guess the latter half, some people get that better than others. And most of us are in some kind of a stage where we're attempting to get and understand. And I'm thinking about Greg Braden talking about a neighbor and him going to a sacred circle in a forest near where they lived in, I think it was Taos, Mexico, so that his neighbor could do a rain dance. And Greg had the idea in his mind that, well, his idea was totally different from what happened. So when the man got there, he took off his work boots, he steps his bare feet into the circle. He actually turns away, turns his back to Greg. He's got his hands in the prayer mode and eyes closed, and within a very short minute or two, turns to Greg and says, "Want to go get a bite to eat?" And Greg says, "I thought you were going to pray for rain." And his friend looked at him directly in the eye and said, if I had done that, that would be impossible, or the result would not be to get the rain. What I did is I pictured the water running from my adobe walls and over my feet. He involved his senses. Here it is 4 minutes after, so I don't know if we're going to blurts out or what. Are we coming back in, Samantha?
No, I don't think so. Go ahead though, Karen. We'll try to.
Well, we need to come back in because we need to talk about the next book, which we missed out on being able to talk about last week. So I'm going to suggest, since she doesn't say anything, that we go out and then we come back into her. Do you happen to know what your numbers are on yours, Jason? Meeting numbers.
Well, we can create a new one, but we probably won't record that.
You're right. You're right. So now I'm.
So he was visualizing the water.
Yes, and you know, he was talking about the sound of the rain, the smell of the rain, you know, all those things that he was doing while he was in the center of the circle. And I would have guessed that he would be dancing. I don't know if he was Native American or not, but